Is it working now, the camera? Okay, timer is running. Good day. My name is Martin Schweiger. I'm a patent attorney in Singapore. And today I'm in the Marina Bay financial center area. Behind me you see the, what is it, box? It stands for prosperity probably. I have no idea. What you see here in the background, here, is the famous Marina Bay Sands Hotel. Hopefully can you see it. And I'm at the Marina Bay because I had to run an errand here. And I thought I walk back home. Should be about 1.5 hours time necessary for that. And my plan is also to record a long video because I haven't recorded a video for 2 days. And I also didn't walk for 2 days. So I'm something like 14,000 steps short. And time to catch up. Today is very rainy. And that was also the case for the past 2 days. And that was also the reason why I didn't record videos. Because when it's raining outside, neither walking outside is nice, and not to speak of recording a video. And also the alternative would be to go on the stepper in the gym, which I find boring unless I do a VO2 max test. And I didn't really want that. Today is Friday, the 21st of March 2025. Is now 4:30 p.m. And I'm standing here waiting for the traffic to create a gap. But the traffic lights in Singapore are so well timed that there's almost no gap between cars. But now it looks good. Okay, I record that so that you can see if someone runs over me, and you could document that and notify the police or whatever. Maybe they would even say that it's my own fault to be run over. I'm in Singapore, as you see. By the way, I forgot my intro entirely wrong. Good day, my name is Martin Schweiger and I'm a patent attorney in Singapore, and I'm also a power lifter. It's much better. And that's why I need to do my walk. And actually I'm a power lifter who is recovering from so loud. Recovering from a metabolic disorder. And now I show you something. Is this beautiful or not? Despite the rainy cloud. Yeah. Like this. No. Okay. Sometimes in the very old photos of Singapore, you can see that facade. That tower was a landmark in earlier centuries. You see it still in old photos, and it was facing the seaside, and today the sea is something like 2 kilometers that way behind. So that's so much about reclaiming land. Now I will walk through here, the Marina Bay, and I have several updates, actually a lot, and be prepared for a long video. The first part would be about my fasting and my ketones measurement. You know, I'm an engineer by training, so everything I do is with measurement. And I think that you should only take supplements or do anything in medicine that you can measure, at least by giving a measurement with your feelings. So if you cannot measure it, I would say don't treat it. Because all treatments come with side effects, and it also seems so weird and off to me to treat something that you cannot even notice. So better save the effort and the money. The worst, I believe, are those people who just take supplements because the label says it's healthy for something. And we are healthy by nature, most of us, all. So why would I try to do something extra healthy? I would rather do something that is bad for my body, probably, if it's fun. Like hanging out with friends for beer. That brings me to my next issue. After the ketones, I will update you with data. And I've got 2 days of fasting behind me, Tuesday and Wednesday. So the second issue would be probably about alcohol, but it could also be that I squeeze something inside, which is insights about my continuous blood glucose meter. Because involuntarily, I did an experiment with my blood sugar. Bear with me, you will hear. Then the third thing is, I promised you some episodes back that I will measure my body composition with my fat and muscle measurement bathroom scales. Very sophisticated, and I wanted to share that one with you. Very interesting. I have now 4 months measurement data, and this is amazing. And finally, finally the alcohol. Yeah, thingy. Did I forget anything? I brought a written note with me, so I don't forget what I wanted to say. And yes, there's another thing that I wanted to feature, which is my Strongman Health AI bot. It's available for free. And I did 2 things with it, namely, number 1, I used it for giving myself advice for preparing for the competition, the national championship in Singapore. And the second thing is, I found out that over the past 14 months, I've accumulated something like 29 or 30 different supplements. And that's too much. And I used my AI, my health and fitness AI, to reduce that number. Very large. This actually doesn't make sense. That those 30 ones to 10 in the first step, then 5, even less, and then 11, 1/11 that I wanted to include for some experimental purpose. And that's very interesting. You will really like that. But let me start with my ketone measurements. For measuring my ketones, I have 3 measurement methods, essentially. Yeah, actually 4, if you count my smell, my body, my mouth and body odor of acetone when I'm in ketonic mode as a 4th measurement. So if you have a good friend, then you can ask the good friend to Japanese. You should ask a good friend, can you smell acetone in my breath? And a good friend hopefully would not be embarrassed to give you an honest feedback. So the first ketonic measurement that I used ever was urine test strips. And those urine test strips worked well in the beginning. When I started my fasting, something like 7 or 8 months ago, but they stopped working. And that's definitely not because I don't produce ketones anymore, because I'm burning fat visibly, but because my body became so smart that it produces not enough ketones to spill over from the blood into the urine via the kidneys. So my body became also more energy efficient. So the urine test strips, even after a day of dry fasting, nice, huh? The urine test strips don't indicate anything, although I know that there must be something. Then I bought the finger prick strips plus a measurement device, very cheap, something like $50. And but the test strips are not cheap. One test is about $1 or so. And it's also very funny. So many people taking photos here, and then I'm just walking inside the line. I don't know. Yeah, this is really, really nice. Can you see the Ferris wheel here? And this is a museum. I've never been into that museum. Then the Marina Bay Sands with the boat. What I really like is to have a glass of wine here at the rear end. Aft, I believe is called. And then you see here the financial center of Singapore. Ni hao.
Ni hao.
Nice people. So, the finger prick test method is what literature says the most precise one. And so I started. And you know my history. Usually the Tuesday is always my water fasting day, followed by the Wednesday is dry fasting. And I don't drink and eat until late in the afternoon or even evening. And that's the mare lion. The merlion.
Yeah, he's sticking out there.
Ah, not bad, huh? I need to give you some data. Right, for the Jubilee Bridge. Whoa! 50 years Independence Bridge. This is what we have here. Actually, it's my bridge because it was built in 2015. It was the year of my 50th birthday, I remember. So, I told you before, fasting is all about switching from glucose burning mode to ketones burning mode. The ketones is when the fat cells issue the triglycerides, and those are converted into free fatty acids. And then those are converted by the liver into ketones, and I believe also acetone. And the ketones are fed to the cells. And what happens with the acetone, I didn't really follow up yet because it's not important. except for the breath analysis. So these ketones, the switch from glucose burning to ketones burning takes some time. So when I do the water fasting on Tuesday, I can feel the switch, and that happened usually around noontime before. I believe it's a bit earlier now and less dramatic as before. When I started with this water fasting, then I had itchy feeling and didn't feel comfortable. And today I have acquired something that is called metabolic flexibility. No. And so the switch is easier and less dramatic, but still I measure my ketones Tuesday at 2 p.m. and it was 0.7. The unit is millimole per liter blood. And I tested normal when I'm in glucose burning mode, and the ketonic level is 0.1 millimole per liter. So at 2 p.m. I was already up to 0.7. My next measurement, I need to tell you, the breath analyzer. I have also the breath analyzer as a third method. It's a small device and you have to blow into it for 10 seconds, getting the deep remainders from your lung of air, and then deep remainders of air from your lung, and then it will tell you how much acetone is there. And my breath analyzer goes from 0 to 99. And I thought the lowest that I've seen ever is 2 or 3. Probably is part per million or something. Crazy. And
not just anybody. You know I need someone. When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. But now the days are gone, I feel so self-assured. I changed my mind, opened up the door. Every
okay, now I'm back. At 4:30, which means 2.5 hours later, at 2 p.m. I had 0.7 millimole per liter ketones and a breath analyzer of average 27, 28. Then at 4 p.m. my ketones went down to 0.6 and the breath analyzer also went down to 0. I cannot say down. 3 measurements, 24, 29 and 34. You would find the data in the description of the video. Then at 7 p.m. my ketones went down to 0.5 and the breath analyzer also went down to 24. Then suddenly at 9:45 p.m. my ketones went up to 1.1 from 0.5 3 hours before about. And the breath analyzer read also went up, read 27, 31, 27. And at 11:20 p.m. my ketones went up again to 1.5. And the breath analyzer also went up, 34, 45 and 41. And then I went to sleep. So after one day of water fasting, I had some ideas of the ketones. I mean, I didn't walk because it was raining so much. So my body also didn't need so much energy. And I thought it's okay because that happens maybe once in 6 months or so. That it's so heavily raining that I cannot walk at all. I mean, maybe once every month is okay. And so I went to sleep. Next day in the morning, my first measurement was Wednesday, right? Dry fasting for 10 hours while sleeping. So the ketones went up from 1.5 to 2.2. And now the funny thing. My breath analyzer that measures not ketones but a side product of the production of ketones, measuring acetone, went up to reading 99. And very loud. I don't think that I want that. So what I do is I go straight through, if that is possible. Again, need to wait for a gap in the traffic. Not so easy. Ah, you see the Ferris wheel. Isn't it nice? He knows that he's on camera. So let me see. So my breath analyzer clearly went into saturation. There's so much acetone produced that the display is not sufficient for displaying the content. But you know what? Being a measurement engineer by training, I think that's okay. And I woke up here. Careful. Cardio. 2 times out. 2 times out. 1, 2, 3. Great. Wow, great place here. This is a preschool. Okay. So that's an entrance to a mall. They let me in. Not bad. Okay. And then what I can tell you is the ketone in the breath analyzer from now on is in saturation, whatever the finger prick blood test says, whether it goes up and down. And it's quite interesting. So 1240, which is 3 hours after the first measurement, my ketones went up to 3.3. That's an advanced level of ketonic mode. And quite interesting, very effective, I believe. So, then I had a nap of 30 minutes because it was raining outside. And I was thinking, what do I do now? And I thought, sleeping for half an hour is just as beneficial as walking if you don't do it all the time. Sir, to Suntec City?
No, this Banana Square.
Yeah, but there, somewhere, eh? Okay, I do. Thank you. So friendly, the people in Singapore. So, and now what happened after I woke up? My ketones were no longer in the level, in the 3-ish level, but they went down to 2.5. And then, all the time, the ketones in the saturation mode. And after that, at 4:45, the ketones went down from 2.1 to 1.8, even lower down. And then, again, the breath analyzer was in saturation, so much acetone there. And then, at 7:30, a short time before I broke the fast, the dry fast, my ketones were as low as 1.4, which was the same as the day before at probably around something like 10ish. But different from the water fasting day before. The ketones for 1.5 were at 34, 45, 41, some 30, 40-ish, high 30-ish. The acetone, no, different, yeah. The acetone the day before were 34, 45, 41, and the acetone of Wednesday for more or less the same value of ketones 1.4 was 99 in the saturation. And I checked, it was not because my breath analyzer is broken, it's because I believe it's a real measurement. And I will further follow up on that one. Now we are near the Pan Pacific, and what we do is we go to the Millennia Walk. So, and if I look back at the ketones and acetone measurement, what I can say is that yes, dry fasting and water fasting drives the body into ketonic mode. I can measure that in my own measurements. And you can measure it by either the ketones directly in your blood or the acetone measured with a breath analyzer. Just that the first day, there's not as much acetone measurable as in the second day with the dry fasting. And yeah, it would be interesting to experiment with that. Also, what I saw is that there's a maximum in the ketonic production that for me is in the late morning, just before noon. Yeah, so 12:40 maybe. Yeah, and now this is the Millennia Walk. At the end is a Paulana, quite a nice beer there. My friend Alex is thank you. That's why it's so good to be strong. That's how I ruptured my quadriceps tendon almost 2 years ago. I slipped and I could still not imagine how that worked, but as you have seen now, with a scared face, I slipped the same way without rupturing my tendon, probably because I'm now 30 kgs lighter than 1 year ago. Not 1 year ago, 1 year and 2 months ago. Oh, so nice. Okay, this is a, how would you call that? Travel later, electric stairs, escalator. So, and I will try to find out whether this pattern is consistent. That says that there is a maximum around noontime for the ketonic production. It could also be that this has to do with not walking during these 2 days. Next week, hopefully, there's no more rain, and I will then walk and also measure my ketones for 2 days. And that would give me more insight. And of course, measuring the breath analyzer is important. Oh, there's a Tesla booth. Yeah. So far about the ketone measurements. And yeah, just to let you know, I also did a measurement with my bathroom scales that measure muscle mass and fat percentage. Muscle percentage and fat percentage. And to start with, my body weight yesterday just before breaking the fast was 104.8 kg. Quite good. That means that I'm much better off than 2 weeks ago. And I can see that also because yesterday I had to readjust my weightlifting belt, and that always means some mechanical interaction to loosen 2 screws, replace the buckle on the belt, and make it 1 hole smaller. That's indicative for 5 kg of weight loss in my case. And yeah, so I believe I'm today slimmer with less fat than 1 month ago. No. Now wait for the traffic again. So, and then what I did is, after taking all my measurements, and this thing is really precise, detailed. Precise, I don't know, but it's detailed, and you can distinguish the fat content in the arms, subcutaneous, visceral, and so. And I have quite some successes to report. Number 1, my total body fat dropped by 2.6%. 2.6% is a lot. And then, I need to tell dropped from where. I dug out a measurement of 4 months ago, and it dropped by 2.6% in 4 months. And that's a number. And then my visceral fat. I had a visceral fat value of 23. And then in 4 months, this thing dropped from 23 to 20.5, which is a 10% drop. Not bad. I don't know whether this visceral fat is really a total percentage because it's a number. So I believe it's not really 10%, but the value is 10% lower. By the way, you never know what you measure if you have not calibrated it yourself. So these scales can tell you what you want. But the good thing is they are consistent and they come with a 3-digit precision. So I believe that's quite accurate and for me accurate enough to see just that. And also again, you see how important it is to keep your old measurements somewhere so that you can compare. And if I could speak to myself, I would have liked to document more my measurement values when I was young. Now when I'm 60, I have maybe 25 years back, which is already a lot, and good that I have it for several reasons. And but I just encourage you keep that. Then next one. My body age, according to the scale, decreased by 4 years in only 4 months. And that's something, there was a real calibration done when this thing was built, probably in China or in Japan. And they used many people to calibrate that. And so my total body composition resembles most the person, the average person of age. What was it? Doesn't matter really, but you can see a trend. So I'm becoming younger, younger with my metabolic age. Now let's get this. Then my skeletal muscles increased. Means very good. I lost fat without losing muscle. And that's something unheard of. And I believe it's because of my strength training. And competing 1 month ago. Yeah. And then there's also the muscle change. It says, yeah, something like 2% in average, more muscles, and 2.6% less fat in total. So and that also would explain why my body weight is not changing so much. Because what I lose in fat, I gain in muscle. But the question is now, is this a reason to complain or not? I don't think so. So, second page, my notepad is dissolving itself from the water. Now that's interesting. My blood glucose meter measurements. So after the fasting, the dry fasting on Wednesday, what I did is I broke fast. And a friend took me out to have a Peking duck. And after the Peking duck, we were offered some ice cream, which I took. And then back home, I thought it was so nice I could eat a sweet cookie. And it will not be much damage because I thought I'm healed. But what happened is that my blood glucose after, normal level the entire day from morning until 8-ish, when I had the Peking duck, was about 5-ish, 5.5, 6. And then after an hour or so, after I had ice cream and the cookie, my blood glucose started to shoot up to 12 millimole per liter. And it stayed there for an hour, and it took another hour to come down to values of before, 5 or 6. And what is really impressive now is, I was wondering, is this now normal or not? I mean, I'm not taking any medication against diabetes, so I'm no medication except my supplements, but these are not really anti-diabetic and blood glucose. What is good is that the blood glucose came down to very low levels, and as it should be. Because before, when I did this, then, I mean, before I even started, then my blood glucose level, normal level would be at 8 or so, or 7. It would shoot up to 16 or 17, and then slowly come down to 11, and then 2 days later maybe be 8 again, so my guess. But nowadays, blood glucose shoots up and then comes back. But is this high intermediate level of 12 normal? So what I did is, I've told you several times, I have my Strongman Healthy Living AI. The link is in the description below. And I described what I saw. And I asked, is this normal? And the thing came back and said, no, it's not normal. Normal would be that the blood glucose would rise until maybe 7.8, 9, 7.88 or so, and then come down. So, and it says, yes, this is a clear sign that you are pre-diabetic, and yeah. Oh, I believe. Not sure whether I can go through that. There's an overhead bridge here, which is not ready. Another overhead bridge over there. And unsure whether this will work. I don't trust this. I go back to the other overhead bridge. So that's one very useful application of my robot. I can ask questions about my metabolism, and I have trained it with my medical data. So my AI knows my personal values, my measurements, my history, what I do, my sport, knows practically everything that has to do with my metabolism. And I can ask it questions, and it gives me very detailed and well-reasoned answers that I think are quite good. Yeah, so, and that also shows why it is important to have a continuous blood glucose meter. Because only then would you see the long-time influence of the stuff that you eat. And as my TCM doctor says, you can heal yourself from diabetes in no time. Unless it's really diabetes 1. Because it all depends on what you eat, what you stuff into yourself. And yeah, so I would recommend use this thing. And also how unfair it is as a athlete. I took part in the national competition, and I used my in powerlifting. And I used my GPT to give me advice for losing 8 kg weight and how to eat. And what I did is, or what it did is, it led me to losing 8 kg weight from the starting point, 110.6, to 102.6 or 8 or 102.2. And the 102.2 were the evening before the competition. And then I had already purchased my entire gear. Oh, now we go the overhead bridge. You know how much I like them in Singapore? Let's go together. Very noisy. It's now a bit like Hong Kong. I didn't even know this corner. Right? You have covered overhead bridges. Hong Kong Central, I believe, is a bit similar. But nice. So having a blood glucose meter showed me, and the AI bot, that I could saturate my blood glucose starting from the evening before the competition throughout the entire competition. And that brought my body weight to 200 grams, just below the official threshold. But my whole body was really filled with glucose. And I was strong as never before. So we go here or there. Let's go inside. So I couldn't even pull in the third exercise, which is the deadlift, the third lift, which is really the, usually then in earlier competitions I never wanted that one. But I was strong as in the first lift for the third lift. And that's because the ChatGPT AI, the trained one, the strongman healthy living chat, told me throughout the competition, munch whatever glucose you can get hold of. Not glucose, carbohydrates, which I did. Gummy bears, coconut, banana. That was a feast to a degree that in the end I couldn't take the carbohydrates anymore because I was so sweetened through. But it was very successful. You know, I set 4 national records, which is as a comeback quite something to tell. So let me dig out my notes. Now this is a deep issue. I've used my Strongman Healthy Living bot to reduce the number of supplements that I'm taking, because I wanted to do this for a long time, because over the past 14 months I have accumulated about 29 or 30 different supplements. And my TCM doctor always says take 5 and then see whether your body changes, and then if that has changed, then you look for a new thing that you can change, and then you start all over with a new supplement that is intended for that. So in my case, I started with vitamin D, then I started with my blood pressure. That meant I had to look into my nitric oxide level in the saliva. And before that, I told you already, I healed my diabetes 2 by eating the right things and not eating the wrong things. And after that, all the way along, I dealt with my thyroid values and also the testosterone, although without taking any supplement for that, I mean special supplement. And then I tried a few things out here and there, as I heard on the internet, like mitochondrial health, and then, ooh. Now that is scary. And that way, after having accumulated 30 supplement bottles, and I couldn't really take them anymore, because 30 supplements means 30 pills, sometimes maybe 50 or so, and it also a cost issue. So loud here. So what I did is, I made a list of all the supplements that I have, and I fed that list into my Healthy Living AI. And then I said, hey, I want to treat the following symptoms, and what I can measure currently is I have a very high LPA value in my lipid panel, very, very, very high, and that is genetic, doctors say, but I can do something against it, and my goal is to address that one. And also I have a liver value that is a bit off. And I really want to bring it down to something very low. Because when I do both, that would also lead to loss in body weight and mainly, so I hope, because of the visceral fat between the organs. And what I did over the past 4 months, it brought me down already 10% from this numerical value. And I believe that's quite encouraging. When I can do that for another 4 months, and then I'm down at something like 18, that would be a major thing. Also my BMI, body mass index, I'm still in the obese area, above 30. But if I lose 10 kg, that would bring me plainly into the overweight class. And yeah, then it's a joke because I'm everything but not overweight. Thanks God.
Hai con vợ kia từng biết đấy.
So I asked my ChatGPT to give me advice which supplements to take. Oh, now there's a lot of wind. I hope that my hairy microphone cover would take that wind out. We will see. It's also a test video. And by the way, you can see the Ferris wheel here. Singapore Ferris wheel. What we see behind us is the Gateway building. Now this is the Arab Street neighborhood.
شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا.
You can see it's currently still Ramadan. All the restaurants are empty, but that will change after 7:30 or so. Yeah. I'm almost at the end of my talk. I have 58 minutes. And I don't know how many steps I walked, but I have a final insight that I wanted to share with you, and it is about alcohol. I also asked my Strongman Healthy Living AI about give me reasons to not drink alcohol, because it's really always tempting when you hang out with people or somehow you're bored and you think, what could I drink? Then you would think, a nice cold beer. That would be it. I even remember my own grandmother, she passed away because of liver cancer. And actually started as a gallbladder cancer. And one of the last things that she wanted in her life was to drink a cold beer. And that tells you something, right? In hospital I was there and I served it to her. Yeah. So, but the answer is very clear. There are many reasons not to drink alcohol at all, even in small quantities. So I asked for this small quantity. And then the AI says, oh, like 1 drink per day, 2, small quantity. I said, well, okay, that's quite Catholic. I mean, rule obeying. And then I asked why. I said, yeah, because the alcohol burning would prevent your liver from burning fat, ketones. And I say, okay, why so? I said, yeah, because the alcohol has a priority. This is considered poison, and the liver would first get rid of the poison before it attacks other. Okay, sounds reasonable, but I mean, there's not so much nutritious value in alcohol, right? So when you have a small can of beer, like a pint of beer, has 250 calories, that would carry me maybe 2 hours through my day, measured on the basic metabolic rate that I have of 2,200 per day calories. And then yes, but sure. But the problem is that the alcohol would drive insulin up, and that would bring the entire hormones in disorder, and that would prevent the body from burning fat. Okay, honk, honk. Yeah. I show you something. And that can take 24 hours to sort out, or even 36 hours, depending on how much you drink. Oh. And the clue is the hormone insulin. And I take this as an interesting hypothesis, and I will give it more research. And if that is true, that it would be finally a reason to not drink any alcohol anymore. Because the insulin should be, that's interesting one. I'm here. The alcohol, can you see? This looks like a mosque in the background. insulin should only be used for what really helps, namely facilitating the blood glucose to go into the cells. And if you cause the insulin to be produced by other means, for example, alcohol, that would only damage your body because the insulin is not needed for anything. And that would be a heavy reason, strong reason to not drink alcohol anymore. It's getting sweaty. It's a bit colder than normal because there is a monsoon going through Singapore. Monsoon season, a small chapter. And that brings cold days for Singapore for 3 days. Anyway, I'm through. I have 1 hour and 6 minutes. You have been very brave to stay throughout the entire video. I hope that I gave you a lot of insights, and I will soon update you, and hopefully not a few days down, but tomorrow, which is then Saturday 22nd. And yeah, we will see. By the way, here's in this market you would find a military supply shop where all the policemen and the military guys would buy the extra gear that is not supplied by the army. This is an old-style family shop for electrics. Everything actually. I don't know how long they will be there, but one thing is sure, they don't have a successor. And they will close down, like this shop here, as it happens all over the place. In a fishing gear shop, very nice. Look at this. And then this. Supermarket. And you have the typical supermarket smell. It really, and all the vegetables here. It's such a good smell. So, what a pity that you cannot smell this. This is Singapore as 25 years ago. Kampong Glam, the neighborhood police. So now you have seen more from Singapore, and I told you also about a few insights supported by measurement data. So maybe I should derive a motto for if you cannot measure it, don't treat it. Don't try to treat it. Maybe the best. Okay, goodbye.